Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Mayor Dean Trentalis is joining us. We'll be introducing him in a little bit. Thank you, Mayor, for coming. We really appreciate it. I want to thank everybody for being part of Hall of Fame Marina's National Marina Day. Today, we are here to honor our veterans. We just got back. Thank you. Yes. We just returned from a great cruise. Many of us were on the Spirit of Lauderdale earlier this morning. We had a great cruise, and the weather was perfect, and it was really fun being out on the water, and that's all part of Marina Day. And I want to thank everybody for being here. I would like to, at this time, introduce a very special guest. We have Mark Anders with us. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Mark. Mark, you here? If you would come in for a moment.
Center. Yes, sir.
Mark is currently the senior Army instructor at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. He recently retired from the Army after more than 22 years of service as an artillery officer. During his time in the Army, he deployed to Iraq 3 times and culminated his career as a battalion commander. He currently lives in Coral Springs and is married to Jean with 2 daughters, Riley and Reagan. Please give Mr. Anders a very warm welcome. Thank you.
Hey, I appreciate that. I want to take a few minutes here to say, one, thank you for this opportunity, Scott. A couple months ago, he reached out to us and asked if we'd want to be part of this day-to-day as we honor the veterans, and I said absolutely. Because about a year ago, they had a similar Marina Day, and the guest of honor on that day was our students from Stoneman Douglas. He didn't want any press here. He just wanted an opportunity to honor the students after the disaster and the tragedy that they went through there. Just get them a chance to get out on the water and have a good time, like y'all did this morning from what I hear. So absolutely did not hesitate. Appreciate this. Wanted to bring the color guard out, put them on display for y'all, and bring our country and our state colors in. And also, one other guest I have here with me is First Sergeant John Navarra over here in the corner. First Sergeant, he recently retired as well. He did about 40 years in the Army. Is that right?
Yeah, I feel like it.
He retired from the Army a few years ago, and then for the last 12 years, he's been heading up the ROTC program there at Stoneman Douglas. And so just this year was his final year, so he retired from teaching as well. So now we have a retired Army and / teacher vet. So trying to figure out how to say that one. So First Sergeant was there as well on the 14th, and it's great to see the dive for vets and what y'all do. There we go, sir. I tell you, just the 3 months I've been at Stoneman Douglas, I've seen many legitimate cases of PTSD amongst the students and what they went through, and it was eye-opening for sure. So to see groups like yours out there working with vets and showing them another way to work through their problem, it's great to see, and got my hand shaking talking about it, so good stuff. So I appreciate it. Without further ado, I ask you all to stand. We're going to go ahead and post the colors and do the national anthem and Pledge of Allegiance. So.
Full guard, halt. Right, fix. Present arms. Order, arms. Left, face. Left, face. Post the state colors. Post the national colors. Left, face. Forward, march.
Sorry, one last thing here, sir. Say one last thing while we're all standing. If I could get everybody to say the Pledge of Allegiance with me, we'll. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, please take your seats. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was an amazing presentation and ceremony. Thank you so much for being here. And to the students at Stoneman Douglas, I really appreciate you coming here today. That was a job well done. At this time, I would like to introduce the owner of Aquatic Ventures and the founder of Dive for Vets, Carrie McNeil. Carrie?
Hey guys, thank you for coming out today. I greatly appreciate it. Normally I'm a speak from the heart kind of guy, and I couldn't do that today because I wanted to make sure and hit everything that I wanted to say. So forgive me, but I'm going to read for just a moment if that's all right. Dive for Vets was founded to help reduce the physical and mental limitations of our combat wounded veterans and stop veteran suicide by introducing them to the therapeutic sport of scuba diving. Today our nation is losing more veteran lives to suicide than we lose in combat. The number associated with veteran suicide at this time is 22 a day. Our number one goal is to drastically reduce this number. Dive for Vets pays 100% of the cost for an open water certification. That's your first diver certification, for those of you who do not know, for any combat wounded service member. We also include PTSD in what we consider to be combat wounded. We strive to help veterans overcome physical and mental limitations by incurring from them their mental and physical limitations incurred from their combat service, which helps the veterans and greatly helps their families. When exploring what I could personally do to help reduce the 22 veteran suicides a day, everything started leading me back to the water. Water's the great equalizer. We're all dependent on a life support system when we're underwater. It was fortuitous that my passion would lead me so entwined with helping others. The two most important things I have experienced in how therapeutic scuba diving helps combat wounded veterans are, number one, everything goes away when you're underwater. When you are diving, the problems of the past and the anticipated problems of the future do not exist. The brain finally slows down and divers live in the moment. There's nothing but the moment. The second is the fact that scuba diving is a social sport. You don't dive alone. Isolation is the number one thing that leads to the demons in the mind taking over. Once a veteran isolated him or herself from others, that is when bad things start to happen. In diving, you always have a dive buddy, and that is an interdependence. This is one of the most wonderful aspects of what we do. One of the phrases we learned in the military is, "I am my brother's keeper." This brings that phrase back in vision. And no one single person that we have worked with has not returned to help pay it forward for other combat wounded veterans. Until this year, Die for Vets was mainly a self-funded organization. This year it's seen amazing support from our local community. Tropic Ocean Airways reached out to us this year, and they've been working tirelessly on implementing a number of veteran-centered programs. Coral Springs Emergency Medical Technical School, or Technician School, held a fundraiser by selling t-shirts so that we could continue to do what we're doing. Special Needs Group and Andrew Garnett are going to be presenting here today, and I'll let him outline that. It's amazing at the amount of wonderful people that I have met in doing this. It's not really a business, it's something that I can give back. And the amount of people that I have met and the wonderful people here, like yourselves, show me that what we're doing means something. I greatly thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you, Gary. I now have the privilege of introducing the Mayor of Fort Lauderdale, Dean Trentalis. Thank you, Mayor, for your support over the years. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Scott. How are you, everyone? Good morning. So this is the second year which I had the honor and privilege of being part of this event, and I can tell you the first time was hot and humid then too. So you picked the right time to do this. I want to thank the young folks from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas who came this morning, who were also here the first time. We participated in this event, in this recognition, and the Honor Guard certainly stood up to the reputation of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas for being steadfast and committed to the purpose for which they have now assigned themselves, which is to be part of the ROTC. America stands on the strength not of its weapons but of its people. And as we stand together as a people, no one will ever vanquish us. We will always be Americans. And America today stands proud just in recognizing the people that try to do good for others. And in this case, we have Kerry, who has dedicated his life now going forward to trying to help others in a way that who would have thought that therapy, such as diving therapy, would be so beneficial and remedial to those who come out of our armed services looking for their way in life. So today, I have been honored to present a proclamation, which I just happen to have here. And I'd like to just take a moment and read it. From the office of the Mayor of the City of Fort Lauderdale, this proclamation is presented to Carrie McNeil, owner and founder of Die for Vets. Whereas Carrie McNeil is owner and founder of Die for Vets, a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting combat wounded service members and their families in overcoming mental and physical combat injuries through therapeutic scuba diving. And Carrie established Die for Vets based on a strong desire to give something back to our veterans. We realized that wounded service members sustain their injuries defending our freedom and way of life while putting their own lives in the line of complete strangers. Die for Vets and its supporters firmly believe we owe it to our heroes and their brave families to help them heal when they return home. Learning to scuba dive has long-lasting therapeutic benefits. Someday I'll learn what those benefits are because I have never had the attempt, never tried scuba diving. Thank you. That brings a sense of independence back to our service members. Scientific studies have shown that scuba diving helps to improve muscle strength, increase endurance and balance, heighten mobility, reduce overall pain, and improve blood flow. Diving also helps ease the mental trauma, finding oneself suddenly physically handicapped. For many soldiers, the realization that losing a limb doesn't necessarily preclude them from adventurous pursuits that they're vital to restoring their self-confidence, boosting their self-esteem, and rebuilding their self-image. Under Carrie McNeil's leadership, Dive for Vets pays 100% of the cost of the first scuba diving certification of wounded service members and of all combat team teams. Those who suffer from physical or psychological injuries, including PTSD. Scuba diving for wounded service members has greatly reduced the number of post-war suicides because it restores a sense of independence and self-worth, just as you described a few moments ago. And that is why Carrie McNeil Dive for Vets will continue to offer this important service that fulfills their mission of healing the minds and the bodies of injured heroes. Finally, through his selfless efforts, Carrie McNeil stands as an outstanding role model, a shining example of how one person can make a world of difference in the lives of others through caring, compassion, and concern, one soldier at a time. Now, therefore, we as the City Commissioners of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, we hereby proclaim June 22nd, 2019 as Carrie McNeil and Dive for Vets Day. Congratulations in the City of Fort Lauderdale. Signed by the Mayor, Dean College.
We have a framed one, the original ones, the original. Congratulations.
Harry Turner's got a photo here with everybody. Hold it up. There you go. Scott, you want to jump in there?
Yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful, thank you.
Want to say a few words? A few more words?
Carrie, congratulations.
Thank you very, very much. Now's the time where I get to talk from the heart. Guys, I mean, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing if it wasn't for support. And now we've got support and recognition. It's all about my guys out there that you see in the blue shirts. It's all about them and continuing this. And in fact, I'm going to do something a little bit different here just for a moment. Not only are we doing this well, but we're growing it and we're continuing it. Mills,
Sir.
stand up for me, man.
Yes, sir.
This is George Mills. Tori, stand up for me. This is Victoria Solomon. These are the next two instructors that will be helping combat wounded veterans with Dive for Vets. Ryan, could you stand up for me as well? Another thing that's been my privilege and honor in running this organization is meeting phenomenal instructors in this industry like Ryan. Ryan is a technical instructor, the deep, long diving, and Ryan's going to be helping us out with a lot of tech instruction as well. That's how far we're taking it, that's where it's going, and you can see it's going to be a continued operation with phenomenal individuals. Thank you very much for the recognition.
I'd like to once again thank Mayor Dean Trentalis for his support and for presenting the proclamation. The mayor has some other obligations later on this afternoon, and I appreciate you making the time to be here with us and for your continued support of Marina Day and Hall of Fame Marina. Thank you very much.
Everybody, good luck.
I'm going to turn this over to Carrie, and he's going to introduce some speakers. And here you go, Carrie, and congratulations again.
Thank you very, very much. Guys, we've got a couple of guys that are going to speak, talk about their experience and what they have done. First up, I want to bring up Evan Graver. Evan and I have known each other a long time. We actually met diving. Evan was one of the inspirations I had in order to form this organization. And without further ado, I want Evan to talk to you.
Don't feel bad, I had to write mine down too.
Jacques Cousteau wrote in his book, The Silent World, that every night he dreamed of flying with his arms outstretched. And after his first dive in his newly invented aqualung, he never dreamed of flying again. When I started diving in 2006, I too experienced that same effortless flight. What began as a check mark on a bucket list after my injury in 2001 has become the adventure of a lifetime. And I've accumulated more than 300 dives in quarries, caverns, rivers, and oceans. In the water, we are all equals, weightless when neutrally buoyant. For me and other divers with disabilities, this truly is freedom. Ongoing studies have determined that water therapies and scuba diving specifically help relieve the tensions of our physical and mental injuries. Diving improves physical fitness and muscle strength, increases endurance and balance, and improves blood flow and reduces overall pain. The mayor and I read the same website. The pressure at depth and the extra oxygen portion of the tissues produces physiological changes, allowing us to breathe easier and reduce muscle spasticity. The joy and exercise of diving increases serotonin levels in the brain, helping to combat depression and PTSD symptoms. For many returning veterans, they face issues with reintegration into society and with family. But the inclusiveness of our dive community and the close bond of the buddy system help them to overcome the feelings of social detachment. Diving provides something new to look forward to, whether it's a trip to an exotic location or just exploring something in our local environment. Once inside the diving ecosystem, there are new challenges, giving those used to the structured military training goals to achieve. This is important for those learning to cope with disabilities. Setting goals and achieving them fosters a can-do attitude, and those with disabilities with transfers into everyday life. Well, we realize that if we can dive, we can take on challenges that we might not have considered before. Diving helps us build confidence, independence, and self-esteem. For me, it's a gateway to a wonderful world and a dream fulfilled. Each time I get in the water, it's a new adventure. For those of you who dove with me, know that diving is truly a level playing field for all people of all abilities. Unless you want me to swim fast, and then I'm not going very quick. But I get to see things that faster swimmers might miss, like the spotted eel peeking out of the rocks or the baby shark hiding under the coral head. Once I strap on the mask and put the regulator in my mouth, I know I won't be thinking about paying the mortgage or writing my next thriller book. Diving is freedom for both the mind and the body. I first met Kerry at Portage Quarry near Bowling Green, Ohio. I was getting in the water and he walked up and said, "You need a scooter." I grabbed his son. He handed it to me, but I couldn't keep myself from rolling from side to side without the stability in my arms. Which led him to say, "You need to try side mount." As usual, he was right. Since then, we've had a lot of diving adventures together, from conquering the cold quarries of northeast Ohio to checking out the props of the Speaker Grove. Every time he has to help me lift me on the boat, he always tells me it'd be a lot easier if you could just get up and walk. But through the jokes, he's always encouraged me to continue diving and taught me new skills. He also allows me to show up at the dive shop every other weekend and answer phones and fill tanks, proving that he doesn't just talk about helping veterans, he puts his money where his mouth is. It's not just me though, it's everybody that walks into the shop. It's every veteran, every person. Kerry touches their life. He'll tell you like it is, and that's something in this day and age. And to have him do this for us, for veterans and for anybody that wants to learn to dive, is incredibly special. And there's a lot of groups out there that are doing similar stuff to what Kerry is, but they don't provide the level of expertise. They don't provide that first certification. They might give you a taste of it, they don't get you certified. And that's what's special about Kerry's program. So, in conclusion, I just want to say thanks to Kerry and Dr. Betts for giving us all this opportunity And thanks to Hall of Fame Marina and Scott Solomon for hosting this event today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, hold on, Evan. Hold on. Guys, Evan wouldn't say anything about it, but one of the things that Evan does is he is a published author. He is now working on his 5th book. Everything based off of diving. If you guys are interested in it, look him up, talk to him, because his books are phenomenal, just like his diving skills. All right, guys, I got one more speaker, and it's actually spawned into a number of things for him after he worked with us. So, Bill Watts, why don't you come up and talk about your experiences, man?
Thanks, Gary. First, I got to say, for those of you that wasn't on the boat and the ones that just heard the speech that just happened, that was a hard act to follow. So, in this case, he saved the worst for last. All right, everyone. My name is Sergeant William A. Watts, Gulf War combat veteran, who served in the 1st Cavalry Division in 1991. I later served in Korea and Egypt and numerous trips to the Mojave Desert with different units until medical issues no longer allowed me to serve the country that I love. Moving forward, 20 years later, here I am, a 100% disabled veteran, and I've gotten to the point where I could care less if I live or die. My speech is more or less about the cold, hard truth of PTSD. I personally can stand here and tell you what the end of my 9mm tastes like. Been there, done that. So, I had alienated myself from my family and almost all of my friends. I suffered from severe depression, anxiety, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, just to name a few of my issues. Then one day, my doctor sent me to recreational therapy. It was here that I found 2 programs that probably saved my life: Dive for Vets and Fishing with America's Finest. I was offered the chance to get my open water diving certification by Kerry, and he signed me up the first day we met. I'm very observant and became excited by how Kerry had ran his program and cared about the veterans that were going through the classes. I took all the computer-based training, and then the day came, we would get into the water, and I finally felt a purpose in life that I hadn't felt in a long time: getting my open water certification. Everything went great, and I found out after doing my first beach dive at Dania Beach, right over here, where we swam out to the reef and went down about 30 feet, that the pressure actually helped my fibromyalgia and restless legs. I was so excited about it that I rushed back to the VA to tell my doctors. Now you're going to hear about this again in a minute. But the thought kept coming through my head about how Kerry was helping other veterans who were in need. Veterans helping veterans. Then I went out fishing with America's Finest program, and it brought back memories from my childhood on how much I enjoyed fishing with my grandparents, and sparked some interest that helped me deal with my depression. Then I got certified to sail kill boats by another nonprofit down in Key Largo. But the thought kept running through my head about Dive for Vets and Fishing with America's Finest, and how those programs were helping veterans. Kerry at the time had staff who helped him out, and Captain Neal, who was the founder of Fishing with America's Finest, only had a few volunteers, but no one that really knew the ins and outs of the VA healthcare system. So not long after, I became Captain Bill Watts, who loves to dive, fish, and help his fellow veterans. and I accomplished more than I ever thought I would. Had it not been for Carrie and others who helped me out, I don't think I would be walking the earth today. This disabled veteran who could care less about life moved on and discovered there's more out there. Since meeting Carrie many years ago, I would like to point out some of my major accomplishments. I'm a founding member of the Rotary Club International of the Doral chapter. Currently serve as the vice chair of the City of Doral's Military Advisory Committee, appointed directly by the mayor. I'm the director of operations for Fishing with America's Finest, and I volunteer so. I'm not paid. I set up the first gambling intervention at the Miami VA Hospital for veterans and became peer support for those veterans in need. I participate in research performed at the Miami VA Hospital to improve the health of Gulf War veterans. I'm very outspoken on issues concerning Gulf War veterans and all veterans, and I work with the upper VA administration in Washington to set up calls and listening sessions. I'm an active member of the Research and Advisory Committee on the subcommittee out of Washington, D.C. Remember I said I would reached out to the doctors and told them what I found. Well, I'm trying to push that. Under the Department of Defense, I was chosen to be a military consumer reviewer for Gulf War Illness Research Program, again, out of Washington, D.C. I actively pursuing research with local universities on the benefits of fishing and diving in veterans suffering from PTSD, other mental and physical disabilities. Just to give you an idea of what Carrie goes through, I want to give you my last 10 days. I participated in the VA Healthcare System PTSD Awareness Day at the Miami VA Hospital. I went and stood in front of the City of Doral to help acquire a grant to help take veterans out fishing. I prepared the final stages of about a 60-form grant to help out the fishing program. I spoke at the Department of Veterans Affairs in Washington, D.C. on the quality of life of Gulf War veterans. I met with Congressman Brian Mass and spoke with him about the quality of life of veterans. Again, while I was in Washington, D.C., I met with the Secretary of the VA. This was just last week. And provided him with information about my program and how veterans are the ones actually helping veterans. And you heard Carrie's speech a little while ago. I want to give 2 bits of news to everyone. That number 22 that Carrie has spoke about, due to programs like Carrie's, like mine, of veterans helping veterans, the number 22 has now been reduced to 20. Then, if you also didn't know it, California used to be the #1 city or state with veterans living in it. In the past 3 years, Texas overtook California for #1. Florida just overtook California for #2.
Yeah, Texas.
So moving on, I met with the chair of the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission, Robert Spotswood. Attended a City of Doral Military Advisory Board meeting. Met with senior officials at South Florida Water Management over recreational areas for use with veterans exclusively. And finally had a meeting with Senator Manny Diaz as part of his Veteran Steering Committee, which both Dive for Vets and Fishing with America's Finest is scheduled to be a part of. Again, I must state, had Carrie and Dive for Vets not sparked my interest, I would be one of the 20 veterans who had taken their own lives each day. His program and his knowledge to teach should not be taken lightly. Every veteran deserves a chance, and with each donation that he can raise, it only helps Carrie bring out the best of veterans and show them there's still a life worth living. There are many programs out there, but there's only 2 that will ever have a place in my heart. Die for Veterans is one of them. Thank you.
Guys, it's almost over. We got one other thing. Andrew, could you come up, man? I told you guys that we started out being completely self-funded and didn't have a whole lot going on except for what we brought in. Well, that's changed. Andrew.
Thank you, Carrie. I'm Andrew Garnett. I'm the president and CEO of a company called Special Needs Group. It's a for-profit company that provides scooters, wheelchairs, oxygen, hospital beds, the Joy on the Beach that you'll see out front over here. Basically, we're a medical equipment company, but we're more about empowerment. We want to make sure that people who want to travel can go ahead and travel, experience not just on television or the internet, but actually go ahead and do it. So when Carrie came to me about getting our beach wheelchair, the Joy on the Beach, I really knew that it was part of our mission in making sure that people could get out there and enjoy empowerment. So I knew that it was something we had to do. So we're happy to provide the Joy on the Beach beach wheelchair, so anybody who wants to go and dive from a beach dive is able to go ahead and do it. And I know that the mind can only absorb as much as, as the fanny can handle. So I'm going to make it short and sweet. Thank you so much.
All right, so I'm sorry, I am bad with names. I forgot your name. White shirt, blue hat. We were on the boat. We were talking. Come on up here for a moment.
Yeah, you.
I'm bad with names. So am I. I'm sorry, Derek. Guys, this is Eric Smith. Now, I remember that too. Not only has Andrew done this and a phenomenal donation, because the number one thing that I've heard from Evan for the last 4 years now, I really wish I had a beach wheelchair because I could go do beach diving and get the shallow reefs. We got a beach wheelchair, bud. All right? Here you go.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I work for Henry Marine Industries in Tampa, Florida. We own a shipyard, and I have spent the last several years donating my time and raising money for the Navy SEAL Foundation. And I had the opportunity recently to meet Lisa Overing and introduce me to this fine organization. She invited me to come join this, and for the past several years, I've been trying to figure out what to do with my father's sport wheelchair after he passed away. And to be honest with you, my father was in the Olympics in Torino as one of the first Paralympians in wheelchair curling. And so he had just purchased this wheelchair before he passed away. And my brothers and I were trying to figure out, what are we going to do with it? Who would we donate it to? Who do we know that could use it? And it's literally sat at my house for the past several years. And it was through Lisa and Dive for Vets that my brothers and I decided to bring it here today and give it to you to use as you see fit with your veterans. And it's a pleasure and honor to be here. And I can't thank you enough for everything that you're doing for the vets. Thank you very much.
Guys, one last thing from me. This would not happen if it wasn't for Lisa. Could you please stand up, please? We had a meeting, and I'm going to be very brief. We had a meeting at the dive shop, and the first statement that I said to Lisa and Scott when they presented this was, yeah, well, 99.9% of the people say what we do is wonderful and that they want to help, and that's the last you ever hear from them. Obviously, that's not the last that we heard from these guys. Thank you for your phenomenal efforts, and I greatly appreciate everything that you have done.
Very welcome. Carrie, it's our pleasure. You mentioned Lisa. Lisa has done just an absolutely fantastic job. Lisa, once again, please give her a thank you. She's been a wonderful partner. We brought in a great team. I joke and say that we have the A-team here. We really do. I was going to say this for a little bit later, but I think it's appropriate. Again, Lisa Overing, and we have Suki, and Tom handling the video and the photography, and Chris Savage is here as well with the drone. And we have some excellent people and companies that help us, and it's a community effort. We couldn't do it without the great people. I will properly thank everybody in a little bit, all of our sponsors, and I really appreciate it, and thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
I would like at this time to introduce Victoria. Victoria is going to give us some information on the raffle, and of course 100% of the proceeds will be going to Die for Vets. Okay, so we just had a couple minutes off your time. So let's talk about, before I introduce Tori a little bit more and hand it over, let's talk about the buffet. We're going to have a really nice buffet lunch. We're going to be opening it up at about 11:30, and I will make an announcement. And what I'd like to do is when we open the buffet, if we can have our first responders, our fire department and our Coast Guard, start the buffet. We'll kick it off with them, and then that will be followed by the great staff and crew from Tropical Sailing. And they did a great job this morning, and they donated their services and their boat for that awesome cruise. So thank you again, and I'll turn it over to Tori.
Hey guys, my name is Victoria. I'm going to keep this incredibly brief because he gave me about 50% of my spiel already. But during lunch, we're going to be holding a raffle. All of the proceeds from the raffle are going to go 100% to Die for Vets, so please be generous. Raffle tickets are $5 a ticket or $20 for 5 tickets, and we have a really good array of prizes. Now, those sponsors who already donated have tickets that are already listed inside there. They have a numerical number that will correspond to your sponsorship sheet. So those of you who already donated, you're already taken care of. But of course, if you want to donate somewhere, I'm not going to say no. All right, so the prizes that we have for the raffle today, it's going to be 3-day, 2-night stay at the beautiful Marriott Courtyard right across the street here in Fort Lauderdale. We also have 2 open water scuba certifications. So this will be your first certification as a scuba diver, and this is an all-inclusive certificate. So all you have to do is call us, get on the schedule, and let the fun begin. All right. We also have 2 sunset cruise certificates with Tropical Sailing, and we already saw those of you who on the boat today. They have a wonderful operation, incredibly professional, very accommodating. We'll be happy to do that with them again. And also, we have a gourmet gift basket. So I probably should have started with that one. But if you guys want to go ahead during lunch, come see me at the table over here. Come get your raffle tickets, and we'll be happy to give away some wonderful prizes and for a good cause, okay? And if you guys are interested in asking more about getting scuba certified, you can also come see me here. I'm the manager of Aquatic Ventures, and I also work with Carrie Die for Vets. All right, it was wonderful to see you guys here. Thank you.
Thank you, Tori. Before you leave, I want to ask you just to give a little bit more detail on the open water certifications, and maybe talk a little bit about what Aquatic Ventures, what you do, the services you provide, and maybe go into a little bit more detail. And then at the conclusion of Tori giving the explanation, we'll go ahead and open up the raffle tickets for sale, and then you could just step up here, and that'll be great timing. We'll do that for a little while, and then we'll be ready for lunch, and I'll make the announcement.
All right, well, Aquatic Ventures is a full-service dive shop, guys, so we do everything from taking you from open water all the way up to an instructor trainer. We are an instructor development facility, so we can take you from, I would say, 0 to hero. All right, we also do servicing on equipment, BC regulators, tanks, and all kinds of good stuff like that. We have the quickest turnaround in Fort Lauderdale. We also certify more students at our shop than almost all of the other dive shops in Fort Lauderdale combined. So please come see us. If you are interested in getting certified, the course will take 3 days. You got 1 long day, which is intro, classroom and pool, and then followed by 2 short days where we do our dives from the beach, which is also why we're really excited about bringing in a beach chair for our divers like Evan, because having a shop that does most of our certifications from the beach and having our full staff go out and enjoy a beach dive is incredibly awesome and important. And to be honest, he's my favorite dive buddy, so I'm not sharing. All right, so thank you again for everybody who's coming in, and I really appreciate it. All right, take care. All right.
Okay, thank you, Tori. Great job. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to be able to get you your raffle tickets now. I'll let you know that all of the sponsors that have helped us with this event. We've already prepared the raffle tickets, and we have them already in our bucket, and winners do not need to be present. So if we draw a ticket and you're not here, we will make sure that we will get that prize to you. So we're going to go ahead and open it up, and we'll have you here for a few minutes selling tickets, and then we'll have lunch shortly, and I'll make the announcement. Thank you very much.